fail, the unforeseen benefits of neglect is our next talk. Keefe Keeley comes from the Kickapoo Valley of Wisconsin. He traveled on a Watson Fellowship to live with farmers in the UK, Zambia, New Zealand, India, and Japan, and researched the spiritual dynamics of their relationships with the land. He returned to Wisconsin and worked in various capacities at a diversified organic farm. He enjoys canoeing, bicycling, backyard berries, and escaping the city to plant trees on his family's farm. Please welcome Keefe.
All right, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. I start with the Lorax because these are the seeds of my philosophy. Many of you may know this classic tale of human greed destroying the environment. And this is what I grew up believing in southern Wisconsin. Maybe many of you did too, that if we keep chopping down all these trees, we're not going to have anything left. And if we keep on the path that we're on and farming the way that we do, we're going to destroy this world. And so I set out to do things differently, and I thought I would become a farmer and do it right, and I failed at becoming a farmer. So that's basically the end of the story. Except my family still had this farm, and so I decided to plant a bunch of trees on it and got my sister's boyfriend involved, and we dug big holes with this big machine and got some friends involved, and we put these trees in the holes, and I didn't have enough money to plant a whole forest, but we at least had a few rows of trees in the farm fields, and it made us feel really good, and we patted ourselves on the back, and at the end of the day, we could have a picnic, and we could drink beer out of straws made from dandelion stems, and it was great. The problem was we solved a problem that didn't really exist, and this is where I had to sort of rethink this whole Lorax thing. It turns out that most of southern Wisconsin used to have a lot less trees, and now we have a lot more. And I looked at these aerial photographs from 75 years ago, and there were these little dots all over. And those used to be single trees on the landscape spread out. And back in the 1950s, when you could use a crayon to write a PhD dissertation, the botanist described this. Most of southern Wisconsin was what was called an oak savanna. And I didn't know what this was at first, but many of you may. I set out to look at some of these oak savannas in southern Wisconsin. And it was hard because guess what? There actually aren't a lot left. They have been cleared for other land uses. And they're amazing, beautiful ecosystems. And the way it works is fires or large animals come through and clear out most of the trees. And what's left are these big grandfather trees. And in between, there's lots of room for other grasses and wildflowers and other small trees and shrubs. And it's beautiful, but we just have little patches left, and it takes a lot of work to restore them. It's not enough. It's like if one house on the block recycles or something. So how can we get the whole landscape of southern Wisconsin a functioning ecosystem again? And we can do it by turning the farms into savannas again. And researchers are starting to work with farmers. At the University of Illinois, they have these studies where they compare monocultures with diverse savanna agricultural ecosystems, where you take all these plant layers, like you see in a native savanna, and put in plants that you can eat, nuts and fruits and forage for grass-fed livestock. You end up with this nutrient-dense diet that, believe it or not, makes you healthy. I mean, it's like humans evolved in a savanna or something. It's crazy. The paleo diet, somebody said that's kosher. So this kind of like blew open my mind, and it gets crazier that we can grow corn on trees. I mean, the chestnut you see here is in the same family as the oak. So if we build a savanna around that, this nut, the chestnut, is high in carbohydrates, just like corn. And hazelnuts you see here are rich in proteins and oils, just like, guess what? The soybean. Elderberries, it's a superfruit, antioxidants through the roof. I took both these pictures in Madison, in savannas. They're growing here. I failed at becoming a farmer. I failed at even doing a good job planting trees. But I have the privilege now to work with farmers that are actually doing this, that are planting these savanna crops. And And that's not the hard part. We can plant thousands of trees in a day if you know how to do it with the right equipment and people. The hard part, the challenge, is to envision this, that nature is not these little preserves, these little pockets of places we protect. That's important. But nature is on the farms. Nature's in the city. Nature's in your wild gut ecosystem. It's in your refrigerator. And we have to see that nature's everywhere, and it's us. And if we try to just fix what's out there, it's not going to work. So do what you got to do, fail, try to fix it like I did, but we're going to come back to this vision of, like we have some farms in Wisconsin already doing this, like they said, sustain Dane. It's not do less bad, let's do differently. Thank you.